Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
Hey, how's everybody doing today? What's going on? We're going to summarize and give you some tips for helping you to be successful as an owner-operator today. We've been talking about owner-operators in our series this week, and we've got some tips to help you. Before we get to that, though, let me tell you a little bit about Harnois Énergies. You know, this is a new truck stop they're opening in Woodstock, Ontario, starting spring of 2026. They're refurbishing it right now. It's going to have, of course, truck parking. They got lots of truck parking, diesel, propane, fueling, quick service dining, showers, RV filling stations, convenience stores, and a scale. And they're also going to have a maintenance repair shop on site for you. This used to be a truck stop chain, so it's already set up for a truck stop, which is cool, and it's in a great spot. So always was a pretty busy one for sure. And it's also an Esso truck stop card. So if you don't have an Esso truck stop card, then visit harnoisenergies.com or call 1-800-363-2712. They've been around since 1958, so you know that they've got your back when it comes to trucking and truck stops, and they're just expanding into Ontario now, so that's very cool. Today we're going to share with you some of the tips that we've got for being a owner-operator in 2026. So stay with us and we'll get right to it.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so let's talk about what you need to work on as far as these are some general tips, but you know what? Every once in a while, it's good to think about it because you may not, we don't often understand it or we forget about it. You get busy, you're doing all your day-to-day stuff. So the first one, and this one I found out early on in my business, and I'm still struggling with it. But trust me, none of this stuff is quick, right? Like you start looking about it, you start working about it. But I'd say the number one tip, and I've heard this for years and years, and we've been doing it in our business for years and years. And trust me, it will show you places where you need to either improve, cut back, whatever it is. And that's knowing your numbers. So they say, know your numbers like a CFO. And if you're trucking, that's your cost per mile. And it doesn't matter how you get paid. This is the thing that most people forget. They think, oh, I'm not paid by the mile, so I don't need to worry about by the mile. Well, if you're paid by percentage or you're paid by the hour or some other way, you need to still know what your cost per mile is so that you can understand how much your expenses should be running you, things like fuel, maintenance, those kind of things. So make sure that you know that. Don't be guessing. You should know fuel, maintenance, insurance, permits, fixed and variable costs, your revenue per load, not just your gross revenue. That's important too. The profit part of that. A good way to track that is accounting software of some kind. You could use a spreadsheet. There's lots of free ones there. We use one called Wave, which is good. There's also QuickBooks and a lot of others. What I would do is go to your account and ask what they're using so that you can use something that's very easy for both people to watch. And you kind of need to make sure you're reconciling accounts and stuff like that on a regular basis. Number 2, diversify your freight. Don't rely on one lane or broker. Very, very true. We've got 3 different things going on in our business, different services under one umbrella company. And a lot of people think, oh, you know what, for a long time, people were saying you need to do one thing. That was the old message, folks. If that's what anybody before the pandemic was saying, do one thing. I think anybody that's gone through the pandemic and survived is telling you better have multiple things going on because you don't know what's going to stop and what's not. I can tell you my pandemic, one of our businesses basically shut down for 2 years and we kind of made it on the other one. So knowing that and understanding what's going on there, don't rely if you might be just running one lane, but think about what happens if that lane shuts down, what happens if that broker shuts down, something like that. Markets can swing pretty fast, so don't rely on one customer or lane in case something happens, right? And build relationships. Build relationships with multiple brokers. Share the love, as we say. Explore a regional, dedicated, or specialty freight. So maybe even if it's just once a month, taking something different. A, it's a good break for you, and B, it's a good way to diversify and get out somewhere else. Consider your seasonal freight to balance out slow periods, so that's a good way. You want to know your rates. You want to get paid well for what you do, but you have to know exactly what it is. This third part, we've been talking about it all week. Control your fuel and maintenance before they control you, right? So fuel repairs are still the biggest profit killers in 2026. You can have a great week and then blow a tire or two and you're done. So make sure you're working with a fuel program or a card with some real discounts. Do preventive maintenance on a schedule, not just roadside schedules. That's the back way to do it. And track your miles per gallon and idle time, because the small changes do add up fast. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of break here and play some of the tips that we heard over the week again for you, so that you can get it from our friend Mr. Mike Gomes, who's the VP of maintenance for Bison Transport, and also Robin Zhu, who is the manager in charge of fleet programming for fuel with Bison as well. I'm going to play some of the tidbits. I'd suggest you go back and listen to the whole episodes before we do that. But before we do that, let me tell you about a company that's they're extremely good at what they do, and that's Rosedale Transport. They have locations throughout North America. They've got 15 terminals, 800 employees, been around for over 50 years, and they look for owner-operators, drivers, local, regional, and highway. So if you're one of those and you're interested in working for another stable company than Rosedale's, who we suggest, go to rosedalegroup.com and you can click on the careers tab for it there. All right, let's get on to those tips with Mike and Robin so you can improve your maintenance and your fuel economy. Here we go.
Comparisons. At the end of the day, you gotta look at the net, right? What's your net estimate? What's your take home, right? People can pay you super high base rates, but it doesn't give you fuel subsidy or anything else. That there's that. But what I would do when you look at Bison is take all the earnings, right? Base rates and everything. We pay a lot of the premiums and the work-based pay as well. So once you add everything up, when you look at fuel, it just minus 26 cents. Right. And you'll be paying for fuel, but you'll get fuel offset as well. But when you combine those two together, a reasonable estimate is 26 cents. Wow. So if you add up everything to be X number, minus 26 cents, and that 26 should be your net fuel cost.
Yeah, that's amazing. How much does drivers? I am old, Robin. I am one of these old drivers that love to clutch, love to sticks, and driving and all that. And today there's these beautiful trucks that kind of sail in automatic mode. How much of a difference do you see this at all? How much of a difference between somebody who's maybe driving standard as opposed to automatic, or a rough driver compared to somebody who's smooth changing gear? Are you able to see that? I don't know if that's something you would see necessarily in your role.
For sure, we have some. Again, there's technology these days, right? So we get all kind of data from the truck. It will tell us, hey, this driver was idling, for example, right? And we're not talking about the stop by traffic or things like that. Is idling overnight, not using APUs. So those call it unnecessary idling, if you call it that. And the weather was beautiful outside, right? They were still idling. And then there is too hard on the pedal and things like that. So there is for sure some difference in there, and depends on where you are. We have our drivers, a lot of those are pretty good, but I would say, probably 5%, between someone who just like drive or whatever versus someone who actually pays a lot of attention to what they do. There's a huge difference in that. And
listen to the full interview at theleadpedalpodcast.com.
Like, again, as I said before, Bruce, they're very savvy bunch of operators, independent business people that really do get the industry. To become a true owner operator, a really good owner operator, there is quite a bit of experience that is required. And so we find that our owner operators that we work with are very good at this, at understanding when that vehicle should be replaced. There is no hard timeline to it. It all depends on the investment they're making, the amount of miles they're putting on it. Do find some owner operators now are buying some of the warranties, especially related to the emission equipment, which helps them mitigate some of that cost and understand, that cost model for them. So very encouraged by that. I highly recommend that, especially on the emission systems, because those costs can escalate pretty quickly.
Hey folks, are you looking for training to get yourself set up for a career in either the transportation or heavy equipment markets? Ontario Truck Driving School has a number of locations throughout the province of Ontario, and they can really, really help you get started. They have been around since 1978. They have 9 locations in the province. They have heavy equipment, truck driving, bus, and more, and they even have a construction course. So if you're looking to get yourself yourself started for 2026 in a great career, then Ontario Truck Driving School is where we suggest you go. Go to otds.com. They are one of the premium schools in the Ontario area. You certainly want to check them out for sure. All right, hopefully you got some good tips out of there with Robin and Mike. That really helped you for sure. And I'm going to get on to some more tips right after this. Stay with us.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah. I love you guys.
All right, let's get on to some more tips here. Tip number 4 that I've got is build a brand, not just a truck. And I really, really believe in this. I think a lot of truck drivers and owner-operators specifically really lose a lot of credibility here. I saw one truck the other day. What was it called? Oh, I mean, I've seen stuff like Smoking the Bandit Trucking, and they're all fun stuff. But when you're trying to show that you're credible and professional and you're trying to get customers, that could be one of the worst things you can do is to name stuff like that. I saw the other day. I think it was something like Dead Dog Trucking or something like that. And it was like, oh my gosh, like you're really putting that on the door. Think of yourself as a brand. Think of yourself as, the more you can improve your brand, the more that you are looking professional, the more, and that professional is how you look, how you dress, how you work with the customer. How are you on time? Are you breaking down a lot? Do you have all the requirements, insurance, and all the stuff that they're requiring? Does your equipment look good? Does it look like it's well maintained? It doesn't matter whether it's 1 truck or 10 trucks. These are things that can really help you. So make sure that you're keeping your stuff clean like that. And if you are your own trucking company with your own authority, do they have a website? Do they have, and a website is secondary to most trucking companies. But if you are somebody who's got your own authority, you should have some kind of a website, some place for people to go back that is not a Facebook page or something like that, where they can actually look you up, see what you're about. It doesn't have to be, super, they may not be using it. You don't have to track loads and all that kind of stuff through it. But you do need something so people can do some homework on you and go, yeah, that's the person that shows up. Here's who they are. Here's how I contact them, whatever it is. Make sure you are doing that, and it's going to really help you when you're bidding on contracts. I'm a big fan of personal brand and branding. Even our business, we've built it based on our brand and being somebody that's trusted and reliable in the industry. And there's lots of other people out there too with media and podcasts and all that kind of stuff. But depending on how they're presenting themselves, that's even more of a problem, right? So something to think about. And then the last one is to think long term. Whether you got an exit strategy or not, I've got an exit strategy. I'm going to go, But think about it, where do you want your business to be? This is something I do actually a lot, is this 3 to 5 year program of where do you want to be with your business? Where do you want to be with your finances? Are you 1 truck, or are you planning on being a small fleet? How are you paying off equipment? Are you planning on transitioning? Maybe forget the owner-operator part for a minute, but even as a driver, where do you go? Are you going to just stay in the seat forever? Or do you want to move into dispatch or mentoring or media or something like that? And then, so if you plan ahead and you know what you're working for, it makes it easier for you to kind of have a roadmap. And you all know, I don't have to tell truck drivers and owner-operators the importance of having a roadmap. If I do, then you're in the wrong business right now. That's the problem right there. So, you know what? Make sure that you're operating professionally and successfully so that you know what's coming up and how to get set up for success for the future. Hey, before we go, hopefully you got a lot out of those tips. I would suggest if you're a business owner, first of all, start your own little business university, and then, maybe go back and listen to these episodes, the one on fuel, the one on maintenance, and see how can you do that in your world? Whatever carrier you're with, are you actually maximizing the benefits of being signed on with a carrier? Because not everybody has that, especially if you're an owner-operator. And one place that we can help you, if you're in Ontario, Canada, and you're looking someone to help you with your taxes and accounting, RS2000 Tax Services is where we suggest you go. They've got, they come to you, so you don't even have to go to them. They operate in Ontario, Canada, and they specialize in the trucking and farming industry. So if you're an owner-operator, it's a perfect fit for you. And all you have to do is just go to rs2000tax.com and call the team there. They're really good to work with. We use them ourselves, so I know that. And they can get you started and come to you, and they work with the whole family and get things going. So make sure you check that out and subscribe to the podcast. So let us know what you like about these series that we're doing. This is very cool that we're doing series for sure. And check out our Chords and Chrome show on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. It's a pretty interesting and fun show as well. All right, my friends, we'll talk to you later. Be good out there. Bye for now. Be safe, and we'll talk to you again. Much success for 2026.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.